with any problems that you might be facing and to come up with great ideas for your business. So the agenda today is the difference between a business plan and a company profile, the key pillars or definitions of each topic, and then Q&A. So the introduction, I think Tracy's already introduced me, so I'm going to skip that. What I'd like to find out is, what are your expectations of today's session? We don't have to get all 10, but at least 5 different expectations of what you would like to get out of today. You can either write it in the chats or you can unmute yourself and say it, and I will just write them down here. Don't be shy, this is a very interactive session. Any ideas, anyone? What would you like to get? Any specific skill?
Nothing coming through in the chat box.
I'll go. Yes?
I'm actually not sure. This is the part that I have never done. I've just gone day to day and managed the short term. So I struggle with this. So I'm hoping to get a direction of how to do it. And I love that you say simply, because it seems so complicated to me.
Perfect. So we're definitely going to uncomplicate it for you. I'm sure by the end it will be much clearer. So thank you for that. Does anyone else have any specific items that they'd like to know more about or learn more about in this business boot camp today?
For me, I'd like to see any new ideas. I've been in business a long time, in the corporate world first, and then in my business for 10 years. And, you think you know it all, but you don't really. So for me, I'd like to see some new ideas, short-term, long-term, in view of this COVID, in view of how it's affected my business, and ways of going forward, maybe to maybe different ways of pivoting the business, which I've tried as well. And well, that's what I'm looking for. Thanks.
Great. Anyone else have any other expectations? 1 or 2 more.
I think it's very relative for all the businesses to understand what their competitors are doing, as well as their SWOT analysis.
Okay, so should we leave it at that?
I think for me, I'd like to get some best principles for planning, or what I should look out for, and also a bit of a discussion on pivoting, please.
So pivoting's come up again. So we will be looking at that, and you can also ask specific questions about that when we get to that section. I think all of these things are very valid, and I'm glad that you mentioned them. So let's go forward and see how we're going to tackle all of them. So the first thing is, what skills are needed in business? So the first one is project management skills, and that's what we're going to focus on a lot today. Also communication skills, very important. Time management, conflict resolution, public speaking and presentation skills. And then I've got in here being active citizens and change agents, because the new way of running the world is more social entrepreneurship. So finding a problem that is affecting society, affecting the world, and then finding a business around that, instead of being a business that is there for profit and then you have a sideline of a very small amount of corporate social investment where you just, keep your scorecard covered and your BE points up to date. So that is the new change. It's not actually all about, the profit as the main objective. That is obviously a huge objective, but making a positive impact is actually really, really important. And all businesses around the world are realizing this. So when you start something, have that in mind and make sure that what you're doing is not harming anything. So especially environmentally, socially, economically, you want to be a positive agent. You want to make positive change, and then at the same time create employment and, make money. So that is very important. And then I see there is a chat. I don't know what it says. Let's see. Okay, so we need to plan as if we will see how we'll see ourselves in a year or 2. How do we go about marketing our business? Okay, so someone wants to add to the expectations, marketing and planning. So we'll just add that in. Fine. So how to write a business plan using our methodology. As Tracy mentioned, we've been running the Youth Citizens Action Program, which is YCAP, in public schools and private schools across the country for the last 11 years. And by using this methodology, we've seen that it doesn't matter what age you are, you can figure out these skills and actually run a very successful project. So these skills are universal. I've been doing the bootcamp for about 3 years now, and always getting positive feedback on using this methodology. It comes from project management mainly. So it's a very simplified form of project management in a step-by-step method that covers all the bases, okay? So step 1 is how to form and manage a team. Step 2 is roles and responsibilities. Step 3 is research. Step 4 is identifying the topic or the business. Step 5 is finding the target markets and brainstorming solutions. Step 6 is planning the actions and budgeting. Step 7 is managing the team and doing the actions. Step 8 is showing evidence, proving impact and sustainability. And step 9 is talk about it, communication and motivation. So we're going to go through those steps step by step. At the end of each step, if you have any questions, please let me know so I can clarify them. So the first step is how to form and manage a team. So when we say team, if you're a sole entrepreneur, like you're just by yourself in the business, it doesn't mean that you don't have a team. The team can be contractors that you get in to help you with certain things that you outsource. It can be family and friends that are working with you. So when I say team, it doesn't have to be a formal team of staff, but that is the other side of it, is to employ staff and have that kind of team. So this covers both bases. So how to recruit your team. So recruitment, how to make sure you get the right people. And even if it is outsourcing, you need the right people for that as well. You know, just because they're not full-time employees doesn't mean you don't need to make sure you've got the right partners that you're working with. And then how to make a group into a team. So you need to have a common goal and common objective. And that's where the mission, the vision, the values come in, to make sure that everyone is on the same path and that you work together towards a common goal and everyone's clear what the goal is and they believe in it. So that is very key, is to have that communication and to have that passion and motivation together as your team. And then obviously conflict resolution. So conflict is not a negative thing if it's dealt with properly. Conflict is good in a way because it means that people are feeling comfortable enough to express when they have a different idea or they don't agree. If they just sit there quietly and just let you carry on and don't say anything and the whole thing fails, then actually that's worse. So you want people to have different ideas. You want diversity, but you want them to deal with it in a way that's constructive, not destructive. So there are different ways of managing conflict. And the main thing that I would suggest is firstly, never make it personal. You know, never take a person. It's about what they're saying, and it's not saying anything negative about it in a way that is attacking. It's just questioning. So questioning what they say and questioning why they're saying it. And then at the end, there needs to be a consensus. So even if you don't agree with them, everyone in the team needs to acknowledge that you have heard them and it is noted what they're saying. But maybe the majority does not agree. So being heard and being listened to is very key, and making sure that it's not personal, okay? And then working remotely, which is a big thing now. I heard one of the other participants talking about all the Zoom and Google and Teams and all of those different platforms to work remotely. And they're all great platforms. There's nothing wrong with them. But if people don't know how to use them, then they can be inhibitive. So the training with your staff members on how to use the technology, making sure that people understand it, have a test run before a big meeting so that they're not being uncomfortable with the actual methodology of what's going on, and they can concentrate on the content is key. And then also understanding issues with people who might not have access to internet, Wi-Fi, and that kind of thing. So how to overcome those challenges. And then obviously now with working remotely, making sure there's rules in the team meetings. You know, when you like now we've got everyone on mute and then you only talk when you're supposed to, because you can go into a team meeting and everyone is just talking at the same time and it becomes a nightmare. And then also other rules like, you know, make sure you're dressed properly. I've been in some meetings where people arrive in pajamas and they sit on their beds for the meeting. So you need to have some ground rules in place to make sure that people know what is expected of them. The professionalism is still there even though we're not meeting in person. So that is very important. Does anyone have any questions about step 1? If you cool,
Nothing coming through.
There's a thumbs up thing that you can do if you'd like. If anyone knows how to do that. Okay, everyone cool on that. So now step 2 is roles and responsibilities. There, Philip has done the thumbs up. That's great. So roles and responsibilities. So now that you've got your team, very important to know who's doing what and what is expected. And this is where a lot of people go wrong, especially in informal teams. You think you're starting a small business and it's family members involved, and everyone's passionate and excited, but then things go wrong when people don't actually know what is expected of them and what they're supposed to do, and you get few people doing the same thing, so it becomes repetitive, doing the same thing instead of different people doing different things, or you get people who are supposed to do something and they do something else, and then that causes conflict. So being clear on what the role is and what the responsibility is between all the parties is very, very important. And then also understanding how to manage the team. So are you using timesheets to manage the team? Are you using deadlines? How do you know that people are going to do what they're supposed to do in time? So that will go into more detail later on team management, but it is key to know what is expected. When you're in a team, you want to know what is expected of me and what is the way that I'm going to do it. Like, how should I submit my work? Should it be by email? Should it be delivered? Should it be a telephone call once a week to give you an update? Should it be a report emailed? It needs to be discussed up front exactly how that's going to work. And then everyone is clear and everything works much better. And then communication, obviously key. Make sure that you have meetings regularly and you just discuss issues that are related to the business, and also have another separate meeting related to personal, because you don't want to lose that personal touch, especially now with these online meetings. I find that it's very, very business oriented. You get in the meeting, you don't waste time, everyone's there exactly on time, and you just jump into business. And then you lose that kind of interpersonal relationship, which is key. So having a separate meeting where you just have a catch up with the team, find out how everyone's doing, find out if they're having any personal challenges that you should know about, if they're having any celebrations that you should know about. Those things are important to have a cohesive team and to have that rapport with everyone in the team. Something in the chat. So if we've not had meetings and lost touch with staff, okay, now then versus, so that's exactly, so having a meeting is very important. I had a meeting yesterday with my team, also after a little while. We haven't had meetings because everything's been slowed down with the lockdown. And I just put out in the group chat, guys, we need to have a catch up. And it was so nice to see that those who joined the call were excited to reconnect and see each other and see what's going on and hear about latest developments. Having that touch point and just knowing that people care about you is so important. So if you haven't done it up to now, it's not too late, but you'll have to rebuild the trust with the people. You'll have to reinvigorate the relationship. And that's why what I've done now is set up team meetings every 2 weeks, where we're definitely going to have those meetings. I've sent the dates already. Everyone knows about them. And whoever wants to join, is welcome to. If people don't want to join, we work with volunteers, so you can't force them to come. But once some come and they enjoy it, they tell others, and then others want to come as well. So make sure that it's a positive experience and they want to join. So definitely come back and get those relationships back on track, because you don't want it to become a situation where it's, now I'm the boss and I'm in my own ivory tower and you're the staff and you're there in your corner and we hate each other. You don't want that to happen. So you have to backtrack and you have to come back and say, guys, let's have a meeting. Let's discuss what's happened in the last few months. How are you doing? Personalize. How are you doing? What's been happening in your personal life? Are you feeling okay? Like, do you need any support from my side? Even if it's help with wellness, mental health, if it's help with, advice or guidance. As a leader, that is what people look up to you for. They want to know you care. It's not only about the work. Leaders are supposed to help people and get them to the right level where they can actually feel supported, and then they'll want to do work and make sure that the business succeeds, because now it's a win-win situation. You're both on the same page. So that is important with regard to teams. And then if there's no questions, I'm going to go to step 3. Anyone have questions? Wait 1 minute. Okay, so step 3 is research, and research is key. So whether you're already in a business or you want to start a new business or you want to pivot, it always comes down to research. And research has different methodologies, but what we're going to discuss today are 3 different ones. The first is SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Okay, and that can be done in very different situations. You can do a SWOT analysis of yourself, and you say, what are my personal strengths? And you write down, I'm really good at marketing, I'm amazing at public speaking, those are my big strengths. My weaknesses, I'm terrible at finance. Be honest with yourself. Sit down and say, my weakness is finance is not my thing. It's really not. Then you look at opportunities. What could I do? What could I learn that could make me go to the next level and have more strengths. So maybe an opportunity for me is to develop more of my financial skills so that I understand it better at least. And the threat could be if I don't understand anything about finance and I outsource it to someone and then they mess everything up and I don't even notice because I don't know anything about finance. So that is something that you need to do personally to discover what it is that you need to work on and what it is that you're good at. And it might mean that you need to outsource the things that you're bad at, but also find out what those things are in very, broad sense, because when you're managing someone, you need to know what's going on. So although you've outsourced it, doesn't mean that you just say, okay, that's not my business anymore. They're doing it. I'll just trust them. That doesn't work either. So just have a little understanding about it and make sure that you can manage the person properly. But you don't have to do it all yourself. Like if you're really bad at finance, don't think, okay, now I have to go and get a finance degree and become a whole financial manager. No, you don't have to. But just get a basic knowledge. Do a little course on Coursera or Udemy. They're free or very cheap. And then at least get a little understanding of what's going on so that you're not going to be hoodwinked by anyone who's a fly-by-night, which happens a lot. So that's the SWOT analysis for personal. Then for the team, you do another SWOT analysis. What is the strength of the team? What are the weaknesses of the team? So each member and the team as a whole. And then you can also do one for the business or the specific product or service. SWOT can be used for anything. So if you look at the business, you say, what are the strengths of my business? The strength is, we really, we have a brilliant product range. They're such good quality products. They're in high demand. It's great. The weakness, we don't have anyone, our stores are only in Gauteng. We don't have anywhere else in other provinces and we want to expand. So that's a weakness, but it becomes an opportunity. So the opportunity, we can expand. You see how they actually fit together. They work together. And then threats, the threat is COVID. Okay, so COVID's a threat. How are we going to overcome that threat? What are we going to do differently? Are we going to move our sales online instead of in stores? So now you start to think about all of those things, and it becomes risk management as well. That's what threats are. So that's a great tool, the SWOT analysis. Then the next one is the map. So the map is specifically of your area or environment where you work, and you list all of the challenges on the map. And the challenges can be gaps. It can be gaps in your market. So you could say you work in Sandton, let's say, and in Sandton the challenges are this, the gaps are that, and you want to actually fill some of those gaps. Like you say, there's a gap that there's no takeaway restaurant next to this corporate, they've got this whole corporate business and they don't have this takeaway that is nice, a little cafe kind of thing that is not an expensive restaurant for those who don't want to spend a lot of money, but it has all of those little things that you need and you want to buy during your lunch break. And you say, great, that's an idea that we want to do. So the map is very nice because you see everything on one picture. So it's all there visually and you write everything on it and then you start to see which areas you would like to be part of. It's also good if you're setting up, let's say, a retail store and you want to know where to do it, to see what is in the area, what is a good location. You don't want to be near a competitor. You don't want to be far away from the traffic because then they don't see you and you're just lost. So that kind of thing, the map is very helpful for. And then the third one, which we're going to actually work on right now, so I hope you guys are ready, is called the systemic stairway. And that is something to prioritize your ideas. So to come up with ideas first, and then to prioritize and see which ones are the ones that you should start with. It's a very, very good tool. So we're going to do it now. So I want you guys to think of a business idea. It can be something that already exists or something new. It can be a product or service. It can be a specific kind of business, like it's totally open. And you need to now give us at least 10 of them, and then we're going to show you what to do with that. So 10 ideas. You can either put in the chat or you can say it. Any 10 business ideas. Go.
Can you just clarify what do you mean by business ideas?
Car wash is a business idea.
Oh, you mean, so an idea. Okay. Yeah. Gym clothing.
There we go. Gym clothing.
Online teaching business.
Online teaching.
Promotional gifts and branding. Tony, this is for you. Lighting.
If it's for Tony, then let's include events.
What kind of events?
corporate events, or no, not corporate, functions. So like barmies, butties, weddings,
Social events.
and social events, yes.
So social event planning.
Mm.
Okay. Couple more.
Affiliation mark.
Mobile car wash.
What was the one that I didn't hear?
Affiliation marketing.
You need more detail on that, just to be more specific.
Like products, there's products available and you connect with people and you get people to be, so it's about connecting with people. You've got a product, you've got a base. They don't sell them at the shops, they only sell them online, and you become a brand affiliate of theirs, and you connect with people and they sell and you sell, and it's so like a distribution line, but not as a shop where you're using people instead of shops. Is that making?
Distribution hub.
Okay, is that what it's called? Okay.
Well, it doesn't have to be called that, but I think that describes what you're saying, if it makes sense. Does it work? Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
What about a paint business? Paint.
What kind of paint, like for houses or for art or?
Painting as for interior design, decorating. Thank you.
Great. Two more.
Catering.
Catering. Last one.
Home security.
Security. Okay, now we've got 10. So now what we need to do is we have to group them because we're only allowed 5 in this diagram, 5 at a time. So which ones do you think go together in a group? Because now there's 10 of them, we need 5. So if I were looking at this list now, I would say that the events and the catering definitely go together. Do you agree?
Yeah, and so does the promotional gifts and branding, and you need lighting in that
And
too.
lighting as well to be added to it, yeah.
Okay, so let's first do the first one. So we're going to do events and catering as one. Okay, and you said the other one was the
Lighting.
lighting goes with the paint and
Promotional gifts.
I don't know if those go together.
Mm-mm. Events, it goes with catering and events.
Catering events goes with the promotional gifts. Okay.
Yeah, because that's what we do. We do the shirts, we do the directionals, we do the flags.
Okay, fine. So events, catering, and promotional gifts, that's one. Lighting, paint, and okay, that's fine. Lighting and paint, there's 2. So we need 3 more. Next one is security by itself. This doesn't go with anything. Online teaching is by itself, doesn't go with anything. And then the last one is. Sorry, I didn't hear that. Okay. Now, gym clothing doesn't fit into any of these. Do you guys think that we should replace one of these with gym clothing, or are we fine with these 5?
I'm fine, it's not on.
We're fine. Okay. And then the promotional gifts is there, but the online distribution hub is not.
It's okay.
Anything, is it fine? Okay. So we've got our 5. Now the very exciting part comes. We are going to draw a diagram. And if you want, you can also do it on your side. I'll be doing it here on my little piece of paper. I've got 5 different color pens so that I can differentiate them. We are going to put these 5 items into these blocks, and then we're going to compare them and come up with a very cool ratio at the end. So we're going to call the events, catering, and promotional gifts. I'll make that number 1, which is the purple one. So I'm just going to call it events because it's too long to say everything on this diagram. And then in blue for the lighting and paint, that's number 2. lighting and paint. Okay. Then number 3, security. Okay. Then number 4 in orange, I'm going to do online teaching. And then number 5 in green, I'm going to do the mobile car wash. Okay, so now the fun part comes in. You have to vote. It's all about majority rules. It's very democratic. And you have to give reasons to explain why you vote if there is a tie or anyone cannot come up with a majority rule. So now we're going to compare between events, catering, and promotional gifts and lighting and paint. Which one do you think will be more profitable or important or urgent to do now? Like as a business, you want to start right now. Which one between the events one, number 1, and the lighting one, number 2, including all of those elements, is going to be the best option? Okay, you have to vote 1 or 2.
I would think.
Okay, we've got some votes in the chat. Let's see. We've got 1 vote for 1 and 1 vote for 2.
I think number 2, given that we are in a pandemic.
Okay, we've got 2 votes for 2, 1 vote for 1.
Another vote for 2.
Another vote for 2. So it looks so
I would
far.
go with 2 as well, yeah.
Okay, 2 is 1. Perfect. So now what we're going to do, we're going to draw an arrow from number 1 to number 2 because that is the one that has won this round. So from events to lighting, we draw an arrow and we're done with that. Now we're going to compare between events and security. Okay, between events and security, which one would you choose as the most important or urgent one and most profitable right now? Events versus security.
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 Okay, we've got 2 votes for security.
Security.
3 votes for security.
Security as well.
Security is 1. Okay.
Because it's an essential service.
Exactly. So security, we're going to draw the arrow from security to events because it is 1. Between events and online teaching, number 1 or number 4?
Number 4.
4.
4. So we've got 2 votes for 4. Okay, 4 is 1. We've got 3 votes. So online teaching is going to have an arrow to events. Between mobile car wash and events, which one? 1 or 5?
Mobile car wash.
1.
5.
Okay, we've got 1 vote each.
I would go with 1.
2 votes for 1. Put another 5 in the chat. So it's 2 votes each.
Number 1, given the time, it's Rosh Hashanah time. Happy New Year time for some.
That's 3 votes for 1, 2 votes for 5. Last one, so we can choose 5 or 1.
Mobile car wash.
Okay, so that's a tie, so we need 1 more. 1 more vote is going to decide it.
I already voted car wash. I can't vote again.
No, but whoever hasn't voted, because we've only got 6 votes here.
Anyone?
14 people.
Actually, you do the casting votes.
I did vote. I voted 5.
Oh, you did already. Okay. Right.
Yes.
And I voted 1. I voted 1. I hope that's counted. Thanks.
Let's go again. So let's go again. Everyone say which one they have. So how many number 1s? Say number. If you number 1, say yes.
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 It's 2, 3. And there's 1 in the chat, so that's 4. Okay, and then 5.
Yes.
After you say yes to 5.
Yes.
Yes.
2, 3. Only 3. How many more have 5 as the one? The one that they like? Okay, looks like number 1 won then, because we've got 4 votes for number 1 and 2 votes for number 5. So we're going to say events beats car wash. Okay, fine. Now we go to lighting. So with lighting and the paint, between lighting and paint and security. Which one is more urgent, important, profitable? Number 2 or number 3?
I would go with 3.
Okay, 3 is 1 because I've already got 4 3s in the chat.
And I would go with security.
Yeah, definitely security is 1 that round. Between security and online teaching, number 3 or 4?
4, please.
4. We've got 1 vote for 4.
Another vote for 4.
2 votes for 4.
And there's
I'll go with 3.
3 votes in the chat. Oh no, 3 for 4 and 1 for 3 in the chat.
So then online teaching has 1. Okay. Between online teaching and car wash, 4 or 5?
4.
1 vote for 4, 2 votes for 4, 3
4.
votes for 4. Okay, 4 is 1.
4.
Online teaching is the winner. Great. And now we have to see which ones we have not looked at yet. So lighting we've done. Okay, between lighting and online teaching, between 2 and 4.
Online teaching, 4.
I would go 4.
4. Okay. I've also seen 4 in the chat there. Then between online teaching and car wash we've done. Between lighting and mobile car wash.
Mobile car wash.
2.
Okay, 1 vote each, and we've got 2 votes in the chat for number 2. So that's 3 2s, 2 5s.
I think number 2, because in order to enable online teaching, a room has got to be inviting at home, if possible.
So then lighting has beaten the car wash. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Between car wash and security, 3 and 5.
I would go with 3.
Me too.
Security. Okay, perfect. Now we're going to do the fun part, which is working out the ratios. So the ratios now, wherever the arrow goes out, you get a point. So events, we've got 1, 2, 2 going out and 2 going in. So the ratio is 2, 2. Then the lighting, we've got 1 going out and 3 going in, 1, 3. Security, we've got 2 going out and 2 going in. No, security, we've got 3 going out.
Sorry,
and 1
Amanda,
going
we're not
in.
seeing your ratios slide. I'm not sure if you meant to be showing that.
Showing which?
We see grouping ideas.
Yeah. So
The slide we're meant to be seeing. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So the yellow one was the events one. The green one was the lighting one. The turquoise one was the security. The red one was the online teaching. And then the blue one was the mobile. Now we're doing the ratios, which you see the little numbers here. So our numbers here are 2, 2. Then this one is 1, 3. This one is 3, 1. Now we're on this one. How many went out? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 went out. 4 noughts. And then this one, how many arrows went out? Naught, but 4 went in. Okay, so the ratios here, I'll write them if you want to see them. 2, 2. 1, 3. 3, 1. And 4, 0. And an opposite 0, 4. So that is what it looks like. Now what we're going to do is the cool part. We are going to create a ladder, a stairway. And we're going to start with the highest number first. So as you can see here, the online teaching was the one that had the highest mark. See, 4, 0. So online teaching is the first one.
Can I just ask you, will you save this exact document so that I can go afterwards and actually look? Because I'm following, but I'm not quite there.
No, we will definitely share it, but once I explain, it'll also make more sense. So what we're doing with this ratio, the reason that we're doing this is we want to see which one scored the most, which one was the most urgent or important or profitable idea that came out of this exercise. And that's why we got the arrows going out. So the arrows that went out, well, remember I said between this and this, which one won? If it won, then the arrow went out. See the little arrow going out? This part of the arrow. And then that's what you see to work out the ratio. So the ratio is however many arrows went out. So this one, it's got 1, 2, 3 in this example. But in our example, it was 2, 2. So 2 went out and 2 went in. So if you look at the numbers here, the 2 is low, the 1 is lower than that, 3 is higher, 4 is highest, and 0 is nothing. So what we start with is the one with the highest number going out. So the most important one is online teaching. So at the bottom of this staircase, the driver, is going to be online teaching because it got the highest score. Then after that, you see the next one on the list was security. You see that? 3, 1. So it's 4, then 3. So security is the next one. And I'll explain what this means afterwards. Then after that, after the 3 is the 2, which was the events. Okay? So events is number 2. And then after events was 1, which is lighting and paint and all of that. And then the last one, which was 0, is mobile car wash. Okay. So now let me explain what the ladder means. So at the bottom of the ladder, it says the driver. The driver is the one you start with. That is the most important one. It's step 1. As you can see, you step onto that step when you're climbing the stairs. So step 1 is we were going to start an online teaching business. That is the number one thing we're going to do right now. And if you look at it, it makes the most sense. During COVID time, online teaching is going to be very profitable because people are having issues with going back to school. It's not safe for kids to be there. You know, you don't want to pay a lot of school fees and then your children are learning online, or they're only going like 3 times a week to school and the rest is online. Or maybe they're not enjoying the process of wearing masks. They don't want to be every day wearing a mask at school, whatever. So you've got amazing opportunities in an online teaching situation. And your market has definitely increased since COVID. Like before this, homeschooling was like a minority thing. Nowadays, people want to do it. They're like, that is the future. Let's do homeschooling. So online teaching is the number one driver. Okay? Does everyone see why that is the one that was chosen? Does it make sense? Then the next one is security. Okay, so the next step, the blue one here, security. So after you've done the online teaching business, either you can be a Richard Branson and do all of these. You know, you can be a serial entrepreneur and start all of them at different times. But the one you're going to start with is online teaching. Or you can just choose one and say, you know what, out of all the business ideas I had, I'm doing online teaching. So that is up to you. Or you can do it over time and say, online teaching I'm doing now, and then in 5 years' time, I'll decide to sell that business and actually use the money to do security. But then you'll have to redo the whole process to check if it's still important, because things will change in 5 years, obviously. So this can be used for anything. It can be used for product lines. If you have different products that you want to compare, which one is the one that I must focus on the most, you can do this exercise. If you want to compare, you know, which service you offer, you know, you can do this for anything. You can even do it for personal things, like personal things that you want to achieve in your life. Like which one is, like there's so many things I want to do. I don't know where to start. Do this process and you'll see, okay, definitely have to start with that one. The one of getting my MBA. That's number 1, need to do that. So this is a very cool tool. So the online teaching was number 1. After that was security, which makes sense. We know security is very important, and that's at any time, COVID time or not COVID time, security is always going to be important. So it's not something that's going to be, you know, in today, out tomorrow. Security is very good as a business. So that's number 1, link number 1 over there. Then link number 2 over there, the blue one, is events. So events, people are always going to have events. They're going to be, you know, barmies and weddings and, you know, corporate events. That's always going to be there. Even, you know, during COVID, it's already started again. These events have already begun, even though they're smaller. Doesn't mean that they've gone, but they obviously will come back to how they were before as time goes on and the COVID issue is not as prevalent. So events also a good business. So there we go, is link number 2, events. Then the next one is lighting. The lighting and the paint. Interior is very important. Especially now people are working from home and they want to make sure that their space is a very a good space to be in. You know, they want to have their lighting good, you know, for the camera. They want to make sure that the place is looking presentable. You can't do your Zoom call from a very ugly looking, you know, back room there with all the rubbish all around, the wall, the paint peeling off the wall, like a tiny light, so you can't even see anything. So that's also important. And people are also spending a lot more time at home. So if they're spending a lot more time at home, they want to have a nice home to be in. They're going to invest more in their homes and make sure that things look nice and feel nice, you know, and they're going to invest in that more than they would have before when they spend most of their time out. You know, if you're now working from home instead of in an office, then you're going to spend time in that home office, and you want it to look nice, and you want to have everything comfortable and pleasant. So there's the lighting one, very good business. And then the last one is the mobile car wash, which is the outcome. When we say outcome, it can be something that is an outcome of all of the other steps put together to create that final outcome, or it could be something that is just the next level of what you're doing, because the car wash can fit into other areas as well. You could actually put the car wash into the lighting element and say, you know what, when we come and install your lighting, we're also going to wash your car as an added benefit, as a competitive advantage, because no other lighting company and paint company is going to do that. So there's where your car wash can come in. You can say, we're going to do the car wash at your event. When your guests come to your event, we are going to have car washes there. By the time everyone comes out of the event, their cars will be washed. Added benefit for your service. Do you see? So it fits into everything, but it doesn't have to be a standalone. It's not like the first business idea you would think of. It's not the number one bottom driver. You're not going to say mobile car wash is number one, because that's not a huge priority for people, but it is a very nice added bonus to add into another business. And it can also come, you can also get business from all of the other things that you do. So while you're running all the other things, you can actually advertise the car wash on the side as well. So that's basically how this model can really create creative thinking and getting new ideas. And I know one of the expectations was, how do I get new ideas? How do I pivot? How do I think of something out the box? So this tool can help you to do that. Does it make sense now?
Very much so.
It does make sense. I just don't understand how you got there. But I'll think. I know this is my challenge, and so
Okay,
I'll look back once you've finished and actually try and figure it out.
You can always chat to me offline, and I can go through it slowly with you again.
Thank you. I just don't understand how you got the arrows, but
The
I'll
arrow.
figure.
So the arrow that goes out of the box is the one of the most important. So here with our example, it says learners are hungry. So if you say between learners are hungry and lack of textbooks, which one is more urgent to fix? You know, should we give them the textbook and let them starve, or should we give them the food and then they don't have the textbooks? So in this example, we said that the hunger issue is more important. So we put the arrow going out of the hunger to the textbook. So the one going out is the most urgent one.
Okay.
Make more sense?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So the arrow's going out to the one of the box is the one that's most urgent. The arrow going in is the one that is most urgent from that box that it's coming out of. So absenteeism is more urgent to fix than learners are hungry, because if they're not at school, how are they going to get the meal? See?
Okay.
So that's
Got
how
it.
it works.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, so that's the research element, and here's the example of the map that we were talking about. So here's a school example, but as I said, it can be anywhere. So here, for example, on the map, it says in the grade 11 classrooms, there's bad behavior, there's no discipline, there's absenteeism, that's a problem there. Then here, there's no science lab, there's no library. Grade 12 classroom, there's a bad pass rate, there's vandalism. Here, there's a hole in the fence, there's bunking, there's people buying drugs, whatever. Then across the road from the school, there's a shebeen selling alcohol to underage drinkers. Here at the bottom at the gate, there's no proper security, there's no scholar patrol, there's late coming. So as you can see on one map, all of the challenges are listed. And then as a team, these learners would go and say, which one are we going to work on in this project? And they choose one and start with that. And then as they continue, they will look at other problems and fix them as well. If this was a community, then you would obviously be looking at this being maybe a school, this being a shop, this being a park, you know, so it doesn't have to be a school specifically, but it will show you where the challenges are. So that is why it's a good research tool. And then this one we just did. So that is step 3. So the research element, very important. And once you've done your research and now you've got your number one driver, you know, the one you're going to work on, what is the idea, and describe it. So now you say, fine, we know that we're going to work on online teaching. So that is the idea. Okay. Now we have to describe the idea in full detail. Okay. do baseline research that you can also measure later. So right now, how many online teaching platforms are there? So you'd have to go and research them. You know, where are they? What are they doing? How successful are they? How much are they charging? All of those questions around your problem. You need to know what, why, who, when, where, all the details around that thing. Because if you're going to get into it, you have to have that knowledge. Seeing what the chat says. Interesting. Running 2 businesses. Yeah, so obviously you wouldn't, if you don't have a lot of resources, don't have a lot of human resources, you wouldn't stretch yourself too thin and run 2 businesses at the same time. So what you would do is you would start one, get that one up and running, develop a team to go and run that. And once it's running properly, then you'd be more in oversight just to watch how everything's going, and then you'd go and start the new business. So you wouldn't start them both at the same time and try and spread yourself too thin. That would be my advice there. But once you've got everything set up, then you can start new ones. Okay, so now that once you've described the whole business idea, then you go to step 5, which is finding the target markets and brainstorming solutions. So the target market, who are you going to target for this online teaching? Is it for primary school? Is it for secondary school? Is it for adult education? Is it just, you know, ad hoc courses that you're offering that's more vocational? Is it to get points, you know, like doctors get those CDP or CPD, I don't know what they're called, points. So that's basically what you have to do. Who is your target market? And research them and know who are they, what are they looking for, you know, how much are they willing to spend, how often do they want these classes, is it something that should be fully online, or should there be some kind of live interaction like a Zoom kind of thing rather than just videos, or do they want something that's audio and they can just listen while they're driving? So that's the target market that you have to research. Now, who are you getting your message sent out to? And then also brainstorming solutions in your team. So you practice listening to find out what are the different ideas and make sure that you don't have conflicts that is negative. So conflict resolution skills and good leadership. And then we're going to do another experiential exercise, which is part of the brainstorming of solutions. And that is called the 6 thinking hats. To see what's in the chat. Okay. So basically step 5 is all of the 6 thinking hats. They are how to come up with different ideas, and everyone in the group, when they sit down to do this, they will be wearing a different hat, not literally wearing a hat, but they will be focusing on a specific issue. And the nice thing about that is that in that meeting, you won't be accused of, let's say, being negative. Like, why are you always so negative? You always give the things that could go wrong. No, but right now I'm wearing the hat, the risk hat, which means that I have to come up with all of the problems that could happen, all the things that could go wrong, all the risks. So that is my job in this meeting. You see, so the person wearing that hat must do that. Then the person wearing the creativity hat, they have to come up with anything creative. The person wearing the process hat must think of all the processes. So it's a very good brainstorming tool. So example here, the blue hat, process and planning. The white hat, facts, data and research. The green hat, creativity, alternatives and possibility. The yellow hat, benefits, logic, why ideas work. The black hat, cautions, risks and dangers. The red hat, feelings and intuition. So in a group, what I would have done is I would have had everyone getting little post-it notes, and then you would all start writing. I'd give you a hat and you'd start writing things according to that hat, and then we'd put them in this group. But since it's a bit difficult in this forum to do that, you can all come up with whatever ideas you have for any of the hats. But how you would do it in real life is to make sure that every single person has a different hat and they work on that hat in that specific meeting. So does anyone have any ideas regarding our business that we're researching now? What are the blue hat ideas? What are the white hat ideas? Green hat, yellow, black, and red? You can put them in the chat or you can tell us.
In line with?
So you're doing the online teaching business. Now you're sitting down and you're saying, okay, we're going to start this business. What do we need to know and work out and research and plan to get this business off the ground?
Can we see the blue hat, the diagram above, please?
Okay, so the stuff here that you can't really read is basically here.
Okay.
So we have a comment for the blue hat technology.
Technology.
I would add a curriculum.
Yes. Exactly. What are we going to teach? We have to know step by step. How are we going to assess? Assessment criteria.
I would go with the black hat.
Mm-hmm.
Financial restraints on parents. Hitting your target market.
What do you mean by hitting the target market being a risk? You mean not hitting it?
Yeah, like it's not something that you just go online and put it and it flows. So it's yeah.
Or not appealing to the target market.
And also not getting it to the right target market. So to find, okay, rather say to find the right target market.
So not, because remember it's a risk or a caution. So not being able to find is a risk. Yeah, it's a danger if you can't find the right target market.
We have the white hat, education outcomes alignment, and number of people in your target market.
So how many people you want to get on your course?
I'm assuming, yes, it's from Leslie. Philip has said the green hat, food menus.
Sorry, on the white hat, the number of people I meant, what's the
One, two, three, four.
people available for your course? So how many, if you're doing a foundation course online, how many people are in that age group available? And then which ones do you want to target?
So number of people who want to do the course.
No, available to do the course. So if you're doing a foundation course, are there 3 million children between the age of 3 and 7 available to do it?
Okay, so how I put it now, does it make more sense?
Mm.
Okay.
Amanda,
Yes.
the problem I see is that you've got two that are very, very similar hats. I mean, the green hat and the red hat seem to be very similar. Is the red hat to do with personal and the green hat to do with the business? Or are they really the same thing? Because feelings, intuition, creativity, I think that really falls under one hat. I don't know if you should maybe look at the red hat and try and say it's more personal. You know, in other words, that how are people going to be able to, what are the personal problems that people are going to have in implementing the task?
Yeah,
The red hat.
Yeah,
So like their own things, like let's say people are busy, like they can't attend at work, stuff like that, they'll go into red hat or they're going to green hat.
Okay, so if people are too busy at work, that's a black hat because that's a risk.
No, I'm not saying too busy, but they can't attend at work to achieve the objective that you need to achieve. In other words, people can't travel, let's say, because of COVID and stuff like that. Then there are issues. So are you looking at the red hat or the green hat because they're personal things? I mean, what I'm saying is that the red hat and the green hat seem to be very similar.
Let me explain them in detail. So the green hat is creativity, meaning coming up with alternatives, innovation, new ideas. That's more practical. Creativity, like a personal way. Sorry. So that's the green hat is more practical, like the creativity and alternatives and possibility around what you're doing. So you're doing an online course. What is going to be your competitive advantage that is going to put you ahead of other online courses? So think of a creative solution or think of a way to overcome something that some other online courses could not overcome. So that is more a practical creativity, whereas the red hat is the feelings, intuition. Like when I go on this platform, I just have this amazing feeling. I feel like I'm safe and I'm warm and fuzzy, and it just makes me feel so happy to be on this online course. It's something about the colors that they've chosen to put on the screen and the fonts that they use and the way that the lecturers come on wearing casual clothes, not formal gear, and the way that they send me emails that are so warm and welcoming. So it's more like a vibe and energy, that kind of feeling, like the feeling of it. Whereas the green hat creativity is more the practical. What are we going to do to fix this potential problem? So the green hat overcomes the black hat problems. So the cautions, risks, and dangers can be overcome by the green hat creativity, alternatives, and possibility. So that's how the hats interact. Does it make sense? The black hat is problems, the green hat is fixing those problems. So that's why the point is to have both so that you can see how they work together. Okay. So if I give an example, a feeling intuition, like I'm saying, the warm, fuzzy feeling of the platform, that you just want to be on there, you just want to learn, you feel so inspired. The look and feel, you know, the whole vibe of it, that's what it's about. Whereas here, the green hat would be, you know what, I can't see the end of this thing. Okay, the green hat would be, what can we do to overcome a problem? So we're going to create a new way of delivering the course.
Maybe like an app so people can log on wherever they are. So
Yeah.
convenience.
There you go. So there's a creative solution. So let's say the problem was they don't like the website. So now we're making an app. So that's the example of how you overcome the black hat issues with the green hat. Okay, does anyone have any other items? We don't have anything for yellow. So yellow is the benefits, the logic, why the idea works. I mean, that makes the most sense during COVID. You know, people don't want to go, people want to learn online. They don't want to go to a place. Okay, so that's an example. Anyone else have ideas on any of these?
Sorry, the red hat, when it comes to feelings, it can go either way. It can be positive, as you mentioned, or it can be negative. So there's a huge difference. And feelings can be very dangerous when motivating others if they are negative. Feelings are difficult.
The red hat is the positive, the black hat is where all of the negative stuff goes. So all the negative stuff goes in the black hat.
Okay.
And the red hat is more the positive feelings and intuition. Like my feeling is like, this is going to work. It's great. But remember, it's only one of the hats. It's not like you're going to go with the red hat and say, okay, ignore everything else. We're going with the red hat. And we're just going to like be blind to everything and just say it feels good, obviously. But the red hat is important as one of the elements because you do need that like X factor that's going to put you above everything else. And that could be a feeling or intuition that does that. As I say, the warm and fuzzy feeling, like if you go on a platform and it just feels so like stale and the fonts are so ugly and you just feel like, why am I here? I don't feel inspired. But then you go on our platform and you're like, wow, it's like so welcoming and warm and fuzzy and I really want to learn. So that could be your competitive advantage. But you're not going to base your whole business just on that. That's going to be the final step. Make sense?
Yes.
Great. Okay, let's move on. So step 6 is planning the actions and budgeting. So now you need to draw up an action card from all of that stuff that we spoke about that explains more practically what needs to be done, what resources we need, how much time we need, and what budget, if any, is needed. Like there will be a budget needed. Manage your time, put together a budget, and plan your fundraising or sales campaign. So fundraising, it can be getting capital for your business. Like if you need capital because you don't have it, or you need to get a loan from the bank, you know, you need your friends and family to help you, or you need to go and cash in your policy to get the money. However you get the money to start it, that is where you need to plan that. And then this is the action card. So the action in one column, so what you need to do, and each action will be detailed here. The people, so which people specifically are going to do that action. What resources, information do we already have? So there might be things that we already know from a previous business that we can put in here. Resource information we need, if we don't have that information that we need or resource, what is it? How much time is it going to cost us? Is it going to be 2 weeks, a month, a year? How long will it take us to do that action? What money do we have? As I said, did you get the loan? Did you get the money, or you don't have it and you need to get it? So if you need to get it, what do you need to get to make this happen? And you'd fill this in for everything from the small details to the big, so that this whole action card explains on one page exactly what is needed. And it's very clear from this that you need to get that money before you can do the actual item. Or maybe it's something that doesn't cost money, like it's research online, it doesn't cost anything, you've got Wi-Fi, so then it will say money we don't need, but we're going to do the action without it. So the action card is a very useful tool, and we use that in conjunction with something else which we're going to talk about here in managing the team and doing the actions. So managing the team at meetings by looking at the action card that gives deadlines next to the people responsible. I'm going to make sure that people are accountable and responsible. Show how the action plan may have changed during the implementation phase. those changes. And using the timesheet and the table in this methodology for the team member accountability and responsibility. So this is what we put together. So every time you have a meeting with your team, this is what gets filled in. What needs to be done, who's going to do it, what's needed, and by when. So every meeting you can say, okay, so Jay and Pretty, you said that you're going to paint the mural and you said it's going to be done by the 18th of June. Today is the 20th of June. Have you done it? And they say, oh, no, I forgot. I thought it was the 18th of July. So now you can go back to your minutes and say, no, actually, it was the 18th of June. What can we do to fix the situation? Did you have a problem getting what's needed? Did you not get the paint, the brushes, and the spray paint? And say, yeah, we didn't get that. Or, are you not up for this job? Should we give that to someone else who's more comfortable painting the mural? Yes, I think someone else should do it. Fine. And that's how you manage the process, so that everything is written down and it's not he said, she said, no, it wasn't me, it was her who's going to do it, or no, I don't remember which date it was, or, you know, I forgot that it was supposed to happen, why did no one remind me? Everything is on this piece of paper, so it's very easy to manage the team when you have this. And I find that this really helps teamwork, especially when you have teams that are very big and it's very easy to get lost in the process. This manages them very well. So I'd recommend using something like that. It doesn't have to be in an Excel document. It can be, you know, all of these apps and things that people use, Microsoft Project and all of those. They have specific ways of doing it. That's more complicated, but this is a simple version of it. So if you just want to do a simple version, you can use this methodology. Then changes from the planning to the action. So when you plan something, doesn't always go according to the plan. So this is where you can talk about how things changed, but how you overcame that problem, how you were resilient and you came up with a plan B. So you just go through this, what action actually was supposed to take place, which people were supposed to do it, what resources did we have or didn't have, how much time did it actually take us, and how much money did it actually cost us. And this is also good for your budgeting to see, okay, we thought it was going to cost like 3,000 Rand, it actually cost us 5,000. What do we do about that? There are some things in the chat. I don't know, Tracy, you want to check them for me? Then step 8. Step
It's just
8
Leslie. Leslie has to leave early.
Okay, great. Leslie, I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you learned a lot. We're nearly finished. I wish you could stay for the end, but it's okay. Okay, so step 8 is showing evidence proving impact and sustainability. So this is how you check. Remember in the beginning, we spoke about a baseline study. So this is where we start. What is the online teaching platform? How does everything look? What are the elements that we would need to bring to the table to make this work? So before and then during, so what did we do to actually get this off the ground, to make this happen? And then after, okay, we've been running this for 2 months now, okay? We've been doing these online courses and now we want to check, are we on the right track? Okay, so we check our courses and we say, well, in the first month, we only had 5 people sign up for the course. And in the second month, we had 10 people sign up for the course. So obviously something is working because we have more people now, actually double the amount of people now than we had a month ago. So that is a good sign. But if we check, last month we had 5 people, this month we have 1 person, then it's a little bit worrying. Okay, what did we do wrong? Did we really put those other people off that they told all their friends, do not go and use that platform, it's terrible? Or was it that we didn't market it properly? Or was it that we didn't follow up properly? What did we do wrong to lose the people? Because you want repeat customers and you want people to tell their friends and family to do it. Word of mouth is the best way of marketing. So that's when customer surveys come in to find out, what did you like about the course? What did you not like? What can we do better? Get that kind of information so you can use that and keep on track with everything. Not to check it in a year's time when you've already lost all this money, trying to put this thing together and you're not doing it as well as you could. And now everyone is saying, don't use that thing, it's terrible. So never wait for that. Always be on top of it. Always get customer research and find out what people are doing well. Get testimonials, very important as well, to say what people enjoyed about it. You can use that in your marketing. And record all the details. So record the planning, the setup, the progress. Use different evidence, photos, surveys, testimonials, obviously invoices and all of those things, so that you know exactly what your trajectory is. Is it looking positive? Like if I look now from this month to next month, it's improved. How do I think it's going to look in 6 months? And then when I get to 6 months, I compare them and say, okay, it was actually supposed to be like 50 people on the course by 6 months and we only have 20. What's the problem? Or there's supposed to be 50 people, we have 100. Great, what are we doing well so we can keep doing it? So that's why you keep on analyzing and assessing and looking at these things. You don't just leave it to chance and think everything's great. We are, just going to continue because we've done what we're supposed to do and now it's supposed to run itself. But this is with any business. I'm saying the online teaching because that's our example, but any business needs to do that. Always have to keep on top of the pulse, always have to be adapting. With COVID, they say adapt or die. A business might be succeeding for years and years and be very great and well and awesome, and then something like this comes and then it's flattened in 5 minutes. Why do some businesses thrive at this time and others die? Because they didn't adapt. So this is key for any time, but COVID time has just highlighted the importance of this. Okay? And then step 9 is talk about it, communication and motivation. So internal and external communication. What you talk about in your team meetings is confidential. That doesn't need to go out to the external world, because you might be discussing very sensitive information, you might be talking about a lot of risks, and now suddenly they go and tell everyone about this. Now you're wondering why your business is not doing well. So that is important to keep under wraps. You don't want that kind of information to become public domain. And then the external communication is your marketing and your stakeholder management and all of that outside communication that you need to manage very well and make sure that people also know what they're supposed to say if they get approached by, let's say, the media. You can't have just anyone talk to the media if they never had media training and now they start saying things that go very badly wrong, as we see right now with the click situation. They've managed that really badly. Things have gone really wrong. And then that's in their risk management for future. They're going to have to look at that and say, what have we done to get into the situation? How are we going to avoid it in future? They have to rehaul their whole marketing department and everything and just relook at what they did wrong to get in this predicament. So it's very important to have that in place. And if you have that kind of business, you need to have a PR firm that's going to help you with reputation management and crisis management as well, because those things can make or break your business. Reputation is everything. Communication is key. Get awareness for what you're doing. Make sure that you communicate to the right target market with the right message at the right time. And keep your team motivated. Celebrate small victories. You're not going to succeed straight away. A small business doesn't, get profitable in 5 minutes. It can take 5 years to get it properly, profitable. But you need to make sure that every single small victory is celebrated along the way. So one client signs up, yay, let's go and get some pizza and celebrate. Do something that makes people feel appreciated, makes them feel like they're succeeding and they're on the right track. And don't only, berate people when they do something wrong, because that's when the morale is going to go totally down. If something goes wrong, there's one example I have to use for this that I think is brilliant. So the conductor, I forgot his name now, but what's his name? Yeah, Benjamin Zander. So Benjamin Zander, he has a way of dealing with these orchestras, and he's so inspirational as a leader. He gets the best out of everyone. And he says how he does that is when someone makes a mistake in the middle of playing their piece, he just stops and he says, "How fascinating." And then everyone's shocked because that's not what they're used to. Usually conductors will say, "You, on the cello, why did you mess that up? Now everyone has to start again. Come on, focus." And then what are they going to do? They're going to make the mistake again because now they're so nervous and they're so embarrassed. What he says is how fascinating, which changes the whole dynamic of "you are terrible" to "wow, okay, that was interesting. It wasn't really right, but it's something that happened and we're going to move on and we're going to make it better next time." And then they've got a bit of laughter and they feel better and then they play fine after that. So I recommend that kind of management for a team. Don't go and just be that kind of leader that comes in and starts shouting at everyone and, getting everyone in a bad mood and making them not want to work hard and making them feel like they're wasting their time. That is never going to work. Even if someone has done something terrible, control yourself. Just calm down before you speak to them and speak to them privately. Don't ever do it in front of everyone. And that is something that happens a lot. I've heard stories like that a lot. I've been involved in it. I've seen it happen. It is never a good way to deal with people. So that is a little tip over there. And then social media marketing, website, online resources. That's very key. Social media is the future. If you're not on Facebook, if you're not on Instagram, you need to fix that now. LinkedIn, all of those things are important. People are not only going to websites now, they're going to those. And if they search for your name and you're not there, then they move on to your competitor. So keep that there, make sure it's up to date, and make sure that it's something that you understand the importance of and you manage and you use to your advantage, because it's a great marketing tool. Okay, so in the beginning I said the difference between a company profile and a business plan. So a company profile is basically you create this document that you're going to use to get investors and to get funders or to get customers. This is a document that's a marketing document. So you've created the business plan from the steps that we spoke about above, okay? The business plan is your internal document. You'd only really use it to get funding from, you know, a bank or investors and people like that. But for the external market, your target markets, you wouldn't give them that. You would give them this very short summary, probably a 2-page document that explains your company. So the first thing is the company details. So, you know, when did it begin, the company name, the date it was established, the physical address, phone numbers, website, email, all of that. And then the company basics. So the items will vary depending on your business type. So the description of the business, including the mission and or vision, product descriptions, description of services, history, expansion and growth, public relations, advertising, industry information, safety, health and environmental policies, your core team details, your client portfolio. So who are your clients? So this stuff, and then the next page will be the highlights. What have you done so far that's noteworthy, interesting, exciting? Have you won any awards? Have you got any certifications, any special programs and projects, testimonials, news or media recognition, all of the highlights? And then your optional items would be your annual sales, your financial targets, your number of employees, your partners, your photographs. So that would be a company profile. And I hope you learned many valuable skills today that you can use practically. Remember that planning is key, but you need to always be flexible and ready to change your plans in order to stay relevant and profitable, especially now. So now I want to go back to expectations and see if we met them. So the part I've never done, need information and direction. Did we meet that? Do people have information and direction from this information that's been provided? New ideas? Any new ways of getting new ideas? Competitors, SWOT analysis, best principles for planning and pivoting, and marketing and planning for the future. Does anyone have any comments on that? Did we achieve those?
There's so much information to take in. I'm like overloaded. I don't know where to start.
Okay, so you've got the info. You now need to understand it. So that's the unpacking of it. But you've got
You say that so simply. It's really interesting though how you've done it. And it is simple.
It's simple, but you have to do it. I think once it's practical, then it makes more sense. So going through this as a theory is nice, but then actually doing it is when you start to get a real understanding.
I think I'm with you. Please, yeah. Amanda.
Sure.
Please, Tracy.
Okay, and then that is the end of our presentation. Thank you everyone for participating.
It was incredible. It's amazing. I love the way you've gone so out the box. It's incredible. Thank you.
Pleasure.
For me, it was very interesting. It's shown me to look at my business in a totally new light. You know, you look at it in one way, but when you get all these new